Welcome to the Watts Wellness Podcast. My name is Corey Watts.
And my name is Sanchia Watts.
Based in Perth, Western Australia, both of us have been on our own self-development journeys for many years now, which has led to this moment.
The intention behind the Watts Wellness Podcast is to help you meet yourself deeply as you navigate your own human experience.
Become present in this moment.
Take a deep belly breath.
And be open to receiving this week's episode.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Watts Wellness Podcast.
Yes, it's been a while actually since me and you have sat down. We've had two guests on since then, Coach Carly and also Josiah. So thank you to both of them for coming on. But we're back. It's me and you today, running through a pretty fun topic and one that I think a few people will be excited to hear about.
Yeah, it's a big topic. It's about cultivating confidence and we're excited to talk about it. It's still something I think we both work through, but we've got some tips and some hacks that might help you guys coming into the Christmas period, summer season, getting confident.
Yeah, stuff that we've learned along the way and sort of been taught by some of our mentors and some of our own research as well. I mean, a lot of the stuff you probably will know already, but I guess implementing it in a way that can provide confidence is probably what we're here to talk about. So excited for that. Sanchia, strength and a challenge out of this week?
My strength has been putting in boundaries with people, honestly, and just like really staying in my own lane lately. I feel like it's kind of become like crunch time, getting to that pointy end of the year where a lot of to-do lists can kind of become quite obvious. So I've had to put in some firm boundaries and just, stick in my own lane, which is sometimes a little bit isolating, but it depends how you look at it, I suppose. And I've been looking at as a way to really just achieve everything that I wanted to achieve for the year. And my challenge has probably honestly been some body image stuff has come up. So it's funny that we're doing this Cultivating Confidence episode now. It's something I've always sort of navigated throughout life, as I'm sure many women have. But yeah, just, I don't know, I've noticed a few stories and things popping up that I've had to really question and observe and shift through, which has been pivotal but challenging as well.
Yeah, definitely. What's the sort of work through that?
So yeah, just like questioning the thoughts and noticing them when they come up and changing the narrative, like flipping it.
Yeah, nice. Can I ask what sort of boundaries you've set as well? Or is that going a bit into the personal?
No, we can.
Yeah.
It's probably just, I've had a lot of people wanting full access to me at the moment, whether that's, random people coming up on the street even. Like I've had a few weird encounters with some men approaching me and wanting to chat, and I've just had to put the boundaries up and assert my space. And, even with, invitations to go to social events, I've just had to decline and really stick in my own lane and, just prioritize my own health, well-being and work.
Nice.
Yeah. Whereas like back in the day, maybe I'd slip into people pleasing and just say yes and go to these events and say yes to every opportunity that's come up. But I've really just had to sort of, come into my own little bubble lately, which has been good.
Yeah, nice one.
Yeah.
For sure.
What about you?
Yeah, I think mine out of this week, obviously, if you follow us on the Instagram, you would have seen that I'm doing 100 days of ice baths. So 2 minutes at sub 5 degree temperatures. So I think that's been the real challenge for me this week. 5 out of 5 so far, which is good. But yeah, definitely noticing like the tendency to want to miss a day or just not do it one day because it obviously isn't like an easy thing to do. So I guess that's been a bit of a challenge, but yeah, I guess overcoming it by having that end goal in sight, 100 days is a pretty good achievement for that and something that I want to try and tick off. So yeah, I think the why is strong enough at the moment, so I haven't been skipping out, which is good. So that's probably been the challenge. My strength, I think, has been patience. In terms of football world, I'm coming back off an injury, so I had a snap plantar fascia, so the medial band in that one. So I am, have to exercise some patience. We started back at preseason this week, and I'm doing very minimal running, just starting to ease back into things and tick off some of the boxes. But yeah, I think patience has been my real strong suit. Probably a few years ago, I'd be really rushing to get back in and pushing myself harder and not giving myself the time to recover. Whereas now I think patience has become, a real strength of mine to be able to wait and take my time with stuff. So that's probably me out of this week. I think there's some good strength and challenges for us, and hopefully some people can resonate with some of that. I think yours leads in well to today's topic, which we will jump into right now, which is cultivating confidence. And I guess the first question that I want to ask you, Sanchia, is, I guess, what does confidence mean to you?
So confidence really means to me just owning your power and really allowing yourself to lead your life with this inner knowingness that you're capable and dependable, and yeah, you just back yourself in and you do it from a way that's not egotistical, but it's really just from like a grounded, connected like relationship to your sense of self, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
What's it to you?
Yeah, it's funny because we write this stuff down before we start, and I should have had to think about it. But I guess to me, just off the top of my head, and what comes to me first and foremost is pretty similar to you. I think living aligned to your values is a big one for me for confidence. Knowing sort of who you are and just sticking true to that, not being swayed by other people or changed into doing something else. I guess that's really confidence. We didn't have it on here as well, but I guess it's important to talk about arrogance versus confidence, I think, in this scenario as well, before we sort of get into how you can achieve confidence through some of the methods that we've spoken about. But yeah, I guess confidence is that knowing in yourself, you know what you believe in, you stick true to that. As I mentioned, like you're not swayed like left or right by people and their opinions or outside knowledge or whatever it is. And yeah, you just have an underlying feeling of knowing your direction in life. I think intuition comes into confidence as well, and being able to trust that and having that sense of knowing in a sense.
Yeah.
But I think arrogance comes when it's almost like you're trying to prove it to other people. And I
Yeah.
think that's the big difference between confidence and arrogance. Confidence is something that's to you. It's something that you believe in. It's something that you're not seeking validation from other people for. Arrogance is like, oh, I need you to know how like confident I am, or I need you to know how good I am, or I need you to understand that I'm the best at this. Like that's arrogance. It's seeking validation from like other people. And yeah, like the most confident people in the world, like they don't do that. They couldn't care if you think they're one thing or think they're another.
Yeah.
They just stick true to what they believe in. So I think that's the important difference with that.
Yeah, there's definitely like an intrinsic and an extrinsic value to that.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, confidence really, I mean, from a spiritual perspective, I'm just running off what's flowing into me now, but you
That's
know,
fine.
it's the solar plexus. So the confidence really sits in that solar plexus, which is the yellow chakra, the third chakra. It's in the center of your abdomen. And you can actually massage this point, like kind of just under the rib cage at the top. And if that's actually really tender and sort of hard to dig your fingers into, sometimes it can represent a block energetically, but it's a really good idea to massage that area before you go on like a job interview or a date. And like, it just helps you to like really connect with your power center. So that's a little hack for everybody. But yeah, I think confidence is so important. And when you have confidence, wow, you just show up in such a different way. You're just so authentic and true and aligned with who you are and what you're about.
Yeah, definitely agree. So I guess for us, like I think a lot of people would think that me and you are quite confident people. Like I don't want to sound, obviously I'm not trying to like get into
Arrogant.
the arrogant part of that. I'm not contradict myself there, but more so talking of a standpoint. And I'm probably wondering, I guess a good way of explaining that is I think we would both think of ourselves as quite confident. Like I believe I'm a confident person. I think you would say the same, but I'm wondering, has it always sort of been that way for you? And I guess it's a good way to look at the shadow side of confidence first and sort of discuss that a little bit and what that looks like when you aren't feeling that way.
Yeah, this is about to get kind of deep, I think, because for a long time, honestly, like I was very much fake it till you make it. I actually wasn't super confident through high school. I was actually really insecure. I was getting bullied. But before that, when I was like a young child, I was so confident, so extroverted, dancing in shop windows, couldn't really put me in a box, like just very out there, and going up to people on the beach and asking if I could have a sleepover at their house, like just very free-spirited as like a young child. But then, you know, I started going to school and I was literally sent to the principal's office every single day when I was 5 years old because I was so out there and confident and just expressive and free-spirited. The school system really wasn't for me. But through that process, I really learnt to fit into a box. And I ended up moving schools like 5 or 6 times throughout my schooling life and constantly shape shifting and remolding and trying to fit in and really not actually owning my power and just showing up authentically. So for a while there, the confidence was definitely sort of shot a little bit with the bullying, with all the discipline that was imposed on me and the punishment of speaking out and being yourself. And I think a lot of people go through this. But yeah, I definitely worked through a lot of those limiting beliefs and shadows that came up through going through that experience. And now I can say that I'm quite confident, but there are days where it's definitely not there and I struggle with it. Like I said at the start, I've sort of been struggling with it a little bit more recently. I'm not sure why. I think obviously when you're away traveling, you're walking like 10, 20,000 steps a day and you get back here and you're sitting at a desk a lot of the time and not moving the body and, you know, the scales weigh a little bit and they move and they change and it's just learning to like be fluid with that and accepting it and not getting hung up on it. But I know that's something I probably still need to work around. But then it's a lot deeper than that, and knowing that your worth and, you know, that confidence really isn't from your external appearance. It's way deeper than that. And so like we said at the beginning, like just knowing your values and trusting yourself and being disciplined really helps you to create that confidence, which I think I've actually done a really good job at cultivating.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
How about you? Have you always been confident?
No, not at all, to be honest. I think as a kid, I was probably the opposite. And it's interesting, like yin and yang dynamics. Like I wonder, you being like the flamboyant like sister that you were in a positive way, if that
Flamboyant.
the kind of yang of that, I guess, is that I was probably a little bit more shy and a little bit more reserved.
I took up a lot of space.
Yeah, which is not a bad thing or anything, but yeah, I think I was pretty sort of quiet as a kid, especially in school and stuff. I think I definitely wasn't the shy kid that couldn't talk to anyone or string a sentence together by any means, but it wasn't something that I sort of looked to do to be outgoing. I definitely sort of lived within my own world a little bit and did my own thing and was, pretty happy within that. I think probably it was more around the age of around, I would say sort of like year 3 as you start moving through that I think that sort of school sort of boy culture sort of comes in and sporting culture. And I think I probably turned into a lot of arrogance for probably the whole of my schooling years, just about, to be honest. And I wouldn't say I was at the extreme end of that, but I think arrogance is also a place that comes across when people like really aren't confident or it's not comfortable to sort of be like that. So probably just trying to fit in with like other identities and stuff, and what other people sort of thought I should be, or trying to fit into what I thought people should think of me in a sense. So yeah, it was definitely arrogant. Like would always be trying to be probably the loudest in the room a little bit. Would definitely have a bit of a look at me sort of mentality, peacocking, I suppose.
Class clown.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's probably only been up until I would say 2 years. I don't know if any of my footy teammates think of this as well, but I think when I first got to Perth, like I definitely had this sort of sense of arrogance, but it probably came from a place of being, pretty uncomfortable, pretty like shy around the situation. I'd moved interstate and moved to, another part of Australia away from home and everything. And I think to sort of hide the insecurities, it's like, all right, I'm going to go bigger and beyond to sort of make sure people don't see that. But it doesn't reflect in sort of a good way. But yeah, I think the real turning point for me, and it's something that I guess we'll sort of start getting into now, like the ways of creating confidence, was definitely establishing like my values in life, and living aligned to them. So that was one of the big things that my mentor, Justin Delahunty, really instilled in me, was values and establishing clear values in life that you can live aligned to. And I think as well, like it's important to note that values change like throughout life. You don't always, there might be 1 or 2 values that are pretty consistent like for you. Like commitment is a big one for me, that no matter what it is in life, commitment's always going to be a value for me that has to be there. And for what it's worth, I think everyone should have that value. Like without commitment, it's pretty hard to attain any goals or do a whole lot of stuff in life. But yeah, establishing those clear values was really a way that I actually started to instill like true confidence within myself, because they were values that I needed to live aligned to. It wasn't something that I needed other people to validate or to, tell me that I was doing, because it was stuff that was important to me. And then people's values or opinions that didn't line up with mine weren't something that I was interested in anymore. So there was no need to sort of create like that arrogant sort of shield to please other people. It was just around, fulfilling what I needed in my life. And yeah, I guess becoming comfortable within that. And it's taken a bit of time, but yeah, it's one of the
Yeah.
good ways of doing it for sure.
Yeah, I find with values, like people kind of know what they value, but you sometimes actually really need someone else to come in and help you really elicit what values align with you. Like you can't always figure out your values on your own. And I think it's really cool that, you know, your mentor helped you find those values that really align with you. And it's something that you and I work towards now with the people that we coach. And it's just so important knowing what you value because it really does shape your whole life and the way that you show up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess that's a good point as well, is that it sort of links back to what I was saying, that values are always changing. So values are kind of based off like your why reasons in life. So the reasons why that you want to do something in life. So if you have a goal or whatever it is, your values to achieve that goal are going to be slightly different to your values to achieve another goal.
Yeah.
For instance, if your goal is maybe family orientated and you want to create security in your life for your family or your kids or whatever it is, probably in there there's going to be values of like protector. There's going to be values of providing, and a bunch of other different ones. But if your value was, I guess, to lose a whole bunch of body weight or whatever it is, it'd probably be around respect. I think that's a big one for men in general, that all men should have, is respect. It's such an important one. Respect is basically how we feel love as a man. But yeah, respect, self-care, all that sort of stuff. Self-care is probably not the value, but it's along those lines that
it would be for women.
they
I
change
think.
a little bit, if that makes sense. So
Yeah. I think especially, you know, when you value body image or just being healthy, like beneath that, yeah, it's definitely, respect is an interesting one. Like obviously through social conditioning, women who are typically, you know, stronger, fitter, thinner, prettier, they gain more respect, which is so wrong. But in society, that's kind of how we've been brought up and conditioned. So perhaps it's interesting to really get beneath that whole title of like body image. What do you actually value underneath that? Or what do you think you're going to gain by having that strong sense of body image?
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I guess where I was going with that is that, yeah, values are forever changing towards it is like what you want to achieve. But there's such a good way of achieving or creating confidence because it allows you to like know what it is that you need to live aligned to as well. For instance, like if one of my values is commitment, if I'm not doing like what it is that I should be doing, then I'm not going to feel confident in that. Whereas if I'm committing to that and doing everything that I'm doing, then that creates that sense of confidence inside of me because it's like I'm living aligned to my values. I feel good. I feel healthy. Bang. Like it's a tick already. So yeah, definitely a big one for values for sure.
Yeah, values are ever changing and it is good to reflect on them and get really critical about them and really think like, okay, why do I value this and how do I know when I'm living in alignment with those values? And it kind of stems back to that episode we did on the 8 elements of wellness. If you didn't listen to that, go back and check it out.
Yeah, it's a massive one. I mean, on that as well, it flows probably into another one that I wanted to talk about, which is creating evidence. So creating evidence for confidence is like such a big one too. So kind of links into commitment and like ticking off those boxes and doing all that. But when you can actually start creating examples of like where you've done the work or where you've made a positive change or where you keep making positive changes, it creates confidence within yourself. I take it from probably a viewpoint of like training or whatever it is. But if you're going to go play a football game, if you know that you've done all the training, you've been to the gym, you've done the programs, you've done this, you will instantly be so much more confident running out into the game because you know in the back of your mind that you've done what you need to do. If you go out there and you've missed gym sessions, you've missed rehab, you've missed a running session and you're a little bit underdone, how could you be confident going into that game? Like there's no confidence within there. So that's a great one for life as well, that if you've done the work and you've gone within yourself and you've established values, you've got rid of self-limiting beliefs, which is something I think you'll touch on in a moment as well, but you've gone in there and you've actually done the work, it creates confidence within yourself. Regulating your emotions, as we spoke about in previous episodes, when you deep dive into that and you practice doing it and you do it and do it and do it and you dive into yourself and you feel emotions and you feel all this different stuff, the more you do it, the more confidence you create in yourself to be able to handle those emotions. So creating evidence is such a big one for confidence. And I know people out there probably would go, yeah, like obviously, but it's so amazing how we sort of forget that at times and forget the reason why we practice and do things is so that we want to go from being unconsciously incompetent to being consciously competent at something.
Yeah.
And we do that by repetition and by being good at it until it becomes second nature.
Yeah, I think this ties in really well with discipline. Like this starts on such a micro level and then you'll see it play out in such a macro level. Like if you, for example, are like getting undressed for the day, you've thrown your clothes in the washing basket and something hasn't quite landed in there and you know that it hasn't landed in there and you ignore it and leave it, like that's literally just ignoring a need that you know that you should be doing and it creates distrust within yourself because you haven't followed through. And so once you go back and you actually put that piece of clothing in the washing basket, it creates that self-trust. And it's like, yeah, I was disciplined enough to do that little annoying niggly task, but then that helps you to show up and be disciplined in the outside world. And this is why I truly believe like clean space, clean mind. Like if you can make your bed every morning, that's a task that takes a bit of discipline, but you go home every night to a made bed and you realize, oh, I can trust myself to show up for myself and start the day from that like proactive, grounded space.
For sure, 100%.
Yeah.
It makes such a big difference within life. If you can be disciplined to something and just do the little things,
Yeah.
such a big tick.
Like small habits eventually lead to bigger habits.
Yeah, big time for sure. One of the other things I want to touch on as well is probably a bit of the science behind this, I suppose, is Maslow's. Did you want to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Yeah, so it's interesting to note that like he does do a bit of work around esteem, self-esteem. And so it's basically that pyramid at the bottom. You've got, you know, your physical environment, food, shelter, water. This actually relates to the chakra system really well too. If no one's ever made that connection, like the root chakra is all about safety, belonging, food, shelter, water, your home. And then it moves up into love and belonging. So having those connections and those relationships and feeling that sense of community and support. Then it moves into safety, which maybe you want to touch on a little bit with safety.
Yeah, probably just like it's safety within your environment. So I'll probably touch on it in a minute as well, a little bit more around this because I like Maslow's like hierarchy of needs, but I have another sort of model which I want to throw at people, which I think is a little bit easier to understand, but wanted to start here.
Okay.
But safety is basically all around probably creating like certainty within your life and safety with, you know, it could be as simple as being financially secure, having food on the table, having a warm bed to sleep in at night, shelter, like that's creating safety in your life. It's creating a sense of like, I feel safe. If you're sleeping on the street with no protection, you're not going to feel safe within life. So that's not addressing one of the core human needs. So principles of that are basically around that.
So with this pyramid of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like once the physical, the love and belonging and the safety have been ticked off, then it's pretty easy to access the self-esteem, which is, you know, your self-efficacy and feeling confident within yourself and just having that strong sense of knowing who you are and that you're supported. And then above that is contributing. So that's where it sort of goes through the third eye and crown chakra where you can see a bigger picture and help others and come back to sort of that universal philosophy of what goes around comes around and you can share everything that you have to offer.
Yeah, returning to the elixir. I think I said it in one of our little reels or one of the previous episodes, but yeah, there comes a sense in life when you achieve sort of those first four things and you have them down pretty pat. There's just an innate human response to want to help others and want to give back. So, super important.
Do you want to touch on your model?
Yeah, so it runs similar and you'll see the parallels here, but I think it's important to talk about. This again was, I believe, coined by my mentor, Justin Delahunty. So it sort of goes in a similar sort of sense. So certainty is the first sort of 6 core human needs. So the first of 6. So creating certainty in your life. So certainty is, as I sort of spoke about with safety, it's creating a sense of knowing, it's creating...
My bed is made.
Yeah, my bed is made, but also like I've got a stable job, I've got a roof over my head, I have a reliable car, I have good relationship structures, I have food in the fridge. Like it's creating certainty within your life. It's not the unknown, I suppose. And then uncertainty is the next one. So if you don't have uncertainty in your life, then you're never going to have any growth and you're never going to be able to expand. So uncertainty kind of links around creating some times when there is a bit of uncertainty. So going out and trying to get a better job or going out and trying to achieve something that hasn't been done before. It's how we like push ourselves as people, and it's sort of required
Travel
as a
is
human.
a big one.
Yeah,
A lot of uncertainty with that.
Yeah, definitely. So those two sort of go hand in hand. Significance is the next one. So having a sort of point of purpose in life, feeling significant in what you do, whether that's your job or career or how you interact with other people, or could be your relationships, a number of ways to sort of tick that one off. Love and connection is obviously pretty self-explanatory, but our relationships with others and that sort of need to have that tribe within us, and that's kind of primal and primitive and what we've spoken about before. Growth is the next one. So growing as people and expanding on ourselves and looking to develop, it's such a big one to be able to tick off. And I guess want to level up in life, and it doesn't have to be spiritually. It could be growth in the way that we train, or growth in, I don't know, the way that we do our jobs, whatever it is, but development, I suppose. And then, contribution, same as Maslow's, coming back to that. And once we sort of tick a lot of them off, there's that need to want to give back to others, and kind of comes into a bit of spirituality as well. So they're sort of the 6 core human needs. And I guess linking all that back to creating confidence, the big 2 out of that for me is certainty and uncertainty, and being able to operate within that. And it's kind of what I spoke about before, that when you can create certainty in your life, you're going to create confidence. Like that's just a natural thing that will come in. You have that safety blanket around you.
Yeah.
And then when you have that uncertainty, it then allows you to be able to step into the uncertainty with confidence, knowing that there's certainty behind you.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Part of me also believes though that like nothing is 100% certain in life. Like I've got that belief that, anything could happen on the day to day. And so you probably have to really get comfortable with leaning into uncertainty before you can be comfortable with certainty almost. Like if you can be really comfortable with just surrendering and acknowledging that you don't know everything and anything could happen on the day to day, like just knowing that you've got the skills to fall back on to deal with those situations. And I think a big thing that really helped me with this personally was just recognizing like I've been through tough times in the past and I'll be able to get through them again because I got through them back then. So of course I'll be able to get through them again in the future. So it's like just acknowledging like, uncertainty and adversities will always present in life, and you've built the self-trust by acknowledging that you've got through them in the past, so you'll be able to do it again in the future.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. I think I definitely agree with that as well. I think, bit of an interesting one. That's sort of an area where sometimes we disagree on in a little bit, in terms of, I think it is important to recognize that, nothing is certain in life, but I think it's a massive spiritual and self jump to be able to adopt those theories of like, nothing's like certain, but I'm okay with that. For a lot of people, if I said that to them, like they'd probably feel very anxious and very worried and like you don't want to go through your whole life in that sort of like everything's uncertain, because you can get to a stage where you could, but I think that's why creating some certainty, stability is important, so then you can start branching out into the uncertainty.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like
interchangeable a little bit.
It's totally interchangeable. I obviously know that there are things in my life that are quite certain, but I have also had, the rug pulled out under me so many times in life that I've just learnt to really surrender and trust that it's always going to work out, because it always has. But that's a topic maybe we could discuss in a future episode.
Yeah, definitely.
The art of surrendering is so important to learn. It will change your life if you can learn it.
Yeah, for sure. I guess probably the last little part I want to touch on with sort of creating confidence as well is, so I guess, confidence is the value, but sort of the behaviors that are behind confidence as well. We've touched on a few of them before, but there's little things like that you can do with like your body language. So how you like stand to create confidence, pulling the shoulders back and
chest open, heart open.
And it kind of links back to, when you practice and embody like an identity, you can sort of start to adopt it and create it. Obviously, if there's stuff within there around sort of self-limiting beliefs, or there's some stuff that you haven't quite healed, you can pretend to be a certain way for a while, but eventually it's going to come back up. But did you sort of want to talk about self-limiting beliefs a little bit? Yeah,
we can touch on it. I think also like speaking from the chest is a really beautiful way to communicate yourself confidently. With confidence. When you speak from the chest, rather than speaking from the head or the throat, like if you can really get into your chest and speak from that space. And then like also connect with that power center once again. That really does assert quite a lot of confidence. And self-limiting beliefs are huge. Obviously, if you have beliefs of I'm unworthy or I'm not good enough or I'm undeserving, it's going to be really hard to cultivate that confidence because you don't actually believe that you are confident.
Yeah.
But some people don't even know that they have those self-limiting beliefs. It really takes you to get into like a meditative state to go deeper into them, or negative after negative after negative event keeps reoccurring and you realize, okay, I must have some belief within me that's attracting this outcome to me that I need to work through and shift. Because law of attraction, what you put out, you get back, and what you think, you create.
Yeah.
And so once you can really work through those self-limiting beliefs and really, really get to the crux of what do you actually believe and can you feel worthy of your desires, then you're able to act and show up confidently.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, for the non-sort of spiritual people, I suppose, if you want the science behind it, it's the reticular activating system within your brain. So it's a part of your brain which basically filters out unnecessary information that you're not looking to attract. So a little exercise that we can do at home right now for people that want to have a better explanation of this, but I also urge you to go look it up because it's important.
The RAS.
But if I get you right now to have a brief look around the room, whatever room that it is that you're in, and I want you to remember everything that is green in the room. So looking around and memorizing it. Now close your eyes and tell me everything in the room that was red. So you're probably not going to be able to do this, and that's because our RAS, which is the acronym for the reticular activating system, filters out unnecessary information that our brain is trying to not focus on. So if your focus is, I can't do this, or I'm not worthy of this, you're just going to attract that into your life. It's all that's going to flash up and sort of come into your brain. So getting rid of self-limiting beliefs and reframing like your thoughts and decisions and going, I want to attract wealth, or I want to, and the I want part is important instead of I don't want. So I want is then attracting what it is that you want into your life, and you'll start to focus on that, and yeah, confidence can be created.
I'm going to go a layer deeper here. I am.
Yeah, I am as well is obviously important.
Instead of I want, if you want something, sometimes that can put you in a state of need and it can actually end up putting you in a state of lack. But if you go, I am wealthy, I am abundant, you're already believing and affirming and confirming that with the universe. And when you say I am open to receiving more, then it allows more to flow in.
Yeah, which is a great reframe. So yeah, I definitely appreciate that. That's one that I'm going to try and
There's
integrate
levels.
into my life.
We're going into the levels. It's good.
Which is good. Yeah,
Peeling
definitely.
back the layers.
I
Also,
guess did you want to?
Yeah, affirmations. Like we just touched on it then, but if you can put some affirmations on sticky notes and stick them on the mirror, on your desk, where you'll see them and read them every day. You know, our brain is most programmable in the morning when you're still sort of in that brainwave state of where you're open to accessing your subconscious. So straight away in the morning when you wake up, you have to start with those affirmations of I am grateful, I'm abundant, I'm worthy, I love my life. Like choose your thoughts consciously. Tell yourself you love your life. Affirm that you are confident in the morning, and that will create a lot of subconscious shifts. If you go straight on the phone in the morning, you are automatically influenced by everything that's outside of you. But once you get into the shower as well, straight away in the morning, that's where you start talking to your body. I'm good enough. I love my body. This is enough. If you can do those things in the morning, you set yourself up for such a beautiful day. And I promise if you did this for 2 weeks, your confidence would shift. Your energy would shift a lot.
Yeah, such a good point. Yeah, very important. I think the last thing that I think will be important to sort of wrap up this episode is why is it important to have confidence? And I guess that just links back to actually well into sort of what you spoke about. But if you don't have confidence within yourself and you don't know the values that you need to uphold in life to feel good, and you don't have that self, confidence is probably a direct translation into self-worth as well. So if you don't have that strong confidence within you, you're never going to be able to set boundaries with people like Sanchia spoke about as a challenge for the week.
That was my
The strength of the week, sorry, the strength of the week. You're never going to be able to really go after your goals and really chase things down, because there's always going to be that little voice or whatever it is pulling you back, because you're not going to know like exactly what you want and who you are and what you need. So having confidence is really big for our development in life and getting somewhere. And yeah, we're not always going to be confident like all the time. Everyone goes through phases where things are going to slip and things are going to happen or whatever it is. But I'm hoping that today has given people some tools to be able to regain their confidence, start stepping back into the right direction. And yeah, I guess getting alignment back towards that.
Yeah, if you can create that self-belief within, that's going to help create a lot of self-worth.
Yeah, definitely.
And enhance your sense of self-esteem and self-efficacy. Like, just allow yourself to really believe in yourself. And if that feels unattainable or hard to do, then perhaps there's some work that needs to be done there to help you shift through that.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And it's such a big one of, figuring out within us like where we need to change and what we need to adapt to and what needs to come in. But I promise you, as you start to do the work on confidence, it will become almost like something super sacred to you that you'll want to hold on for dear life, and you're not going to let other people take it away from you. So such a big one.
It is a big one.
Sanchia, I think this is going to wrap up today's episode. We hope everyone out there has enjoyed it. I think it's episode 7 actually. So last week was Carly with you. So episode 6. So up to episode 7. But thank you to everyone for listening. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on the podcast today with us.
You too, bro. Yeah, thank you.
That's always good. We will see you all next week on
the Watts Wellness Podcast.
See you guys.
Bye.